Being 7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bosmas.
Here?
Commissioner Baker.
Here.
Commissioner Bauer.
Here.
Commissioner Gage. Commissioner Gary.
Here.
Commissioner Lynn.
Here.
Commissioner Twardy.
Here.
We understand we're all here, right? Or no, Commissioner, we haven't accepted the letter yet, so,
Right.
okay. Commissioner
Move to
Lynn.
excuse Commissioner Gage.
Support.
It's been supported. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Both same side. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We'd ask those with cell phones, if you would please put them on vibrate or turn them off. We would appreciate it. I believe before we start into the item number 1, we have a presentation that Linda Holt from the Convention and Visitors Bureau would like to make. Do I need to come up with you?
Yes, I sure do. Well, as you remember last, beginning of December, we had a Christmas tree that went down to Lansing, right? Well, we were very, very fortunate that they really appreciated our tree. Yeah. And I wanted to present to you the city of Sault Ste. Marie. Well, I gotta be able to read it here. The city of Sault Ste. Marie, thank you for providing support and police assistance for the 2016 state Christmas tree. Department of Technology, Management and Budget, Michigan Association of Timbermen, and Great Lakes Timber Professional Association. So here's the picture, you guys. And I can't thank you enough for all the help that you gave for that day. It made it beautiful. But I'm asking you also got 3 other pictures, and I'm asking you for, oh, I only gave you 2. Oh, that was the 3rd one. 3 other pictures. I'm going to ask you if you would please make sure Billy gets one of these pictures because he worked so hard on this. And yeah, he retired, so I can't give it to him, but there he is. And they're all signed by Governor Rick Schneider.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Certainly like to thank the individual who donated it. Who is that?
I think it was Cloud. Wasn't it
Your mic on? You can have
I
thank.
believe it was the Clow family.
Okay, from East 9th or East?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
great.
he also got a picture also.
Did they?
You got to take him right.
Okay, was their picture framed also?
Yes, and
Okay.
also with the same on it, and
Okay, great. Well, we certainly thank them very much, and certainly thank the Clow family for donating it, and it's a beautiful picture. I'll pass this around for the commission to look at.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Linda.
Thanks, Linda. Yeah.
That's a massive tree.
Your Honor, how many bulbs are on this, do you know?
Not my turn to count.
They're all
And we'll hang that in the appropriate place in the hall. And we'll make sure Billy Anderson does get his copy of the picture.
It's a nice looking tree.
Yes, it is. Maybe while that's going around, we'll start on the number 1. Public comment on scheduled agenda items. Any person may reserve time on the agenda not to exceed 3 minutes per person. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on an agenda item that's not already on the agenda? Hearing none, okay, we'll move on to item number 2, the consent agenda. Deputy City Manager.
Under the consent agenda, A, minute approval. 1, approval of the minutes of the regular city commission meeting of June 5th, 2017. Recommended action, approve the minutes of the regular city commission meeting of June 5th, 2017. Item 2, acceptance of the minutes of the following boards and commissions. A, Airport Advisory Board of May 11th. B, Economic Development Corporation of May 9th. C, Historical Development Commission of June 13th. D, Zoning Board of Appeals of May 18th. Recommended action is to accept the minutes of the various boards and commissions. Item B, appointments and resignations. 1, appointment to the Planning Commission. Recommended action is to confirm the mayor's appointment of Joe Gallagher to the Planning Commission to fill the balance of a term to expire on April 19th, 2019. Item 2, appointment to the Police Fire Pension Board. Recommended action is to appoint Sabrina Oshowski to the Police Fire Pension Board for an indefinite term. Item 3 is resignation from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Recommended action is to accept the resignation of Andrew Barnaby from the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term that is set to expire on June 1, 2019, and send a letter of thanks for his service on this board. Item C, communications. 1, from the Historical Development Commission. Approval of expenditure of Osborne Trust funds for the Rendezvous in the Sioux. Recommended action is to approve an appropriation of $2,500 from the Osborne Trust funds to the Chippewa County Historical Society toward the cost of the Rendezvous in the Sioux History Fest. Item 2, from Eric and Beth Gurno. Request to release easement rights over the southerly 6 feet over the previously vacated East 11th Avenue, lying between Young Street and the west lot line of Lot 1, Block 15, Cody Heights Addition, to allow for the construction of a garage addition. Recommended action is to adopt the resolution as attached to release the utility easement rights over the requested area. Item D, special orders of business. 1, approval of a first resolution for public improvement West 4th Avenue from Ash Street to Hyde Street, ST-03-17. Recommended action is to approve the first resolution for public improvement, scheduling a public hearing of necessity for 7 p.m. on Monday, July 17, 2017. Item E, City Manager's Report. 1, award a bid to Roy Electric Company, Incorporated for the Polar Community Building Scoreboard Project. Recommended action is award the scoreboard project to Roy Electric Company, Incorporated in the amount of $55,800. Item 2, approve proposal from Associated Refrigeration Services, Incorporated for work on the Polar Community Building refrigeration system. Recommended action, approve the proposal submitted by Associated Refrigeration Services for the Polar Community Building calcium chloride pump and electrical upgrade project in the amount not to exceed $16,229.80. Item 3, approve a budget for city share of 3 Mile Road traffic signals. Recommended action, approve a budget of $42,857 for the first installment toward the traffic signals per the Meyer Site Development Agreement as presented. Item 4, accept and execute grant agreement with the Michigan Department of Natural Resource Waterways for George Kemp Downtown Marina repairs. Recommended action, acceptance of a Michigan Department of Natural Resource Waterways grant in the amount of $32,500 and authorize the city manager to execute project-related documents. Item 5, approval of out-of-state travel by the city manager. Recommended action is to approve out-of-state travel by the city manager for the annual ICMA conference in San Antonio, Texas from October 22nd, 2017 through October 25th, 2017. Item 6, authorization of depositories and banking resolutions as of July 1, 2017. Recommended action, Central Savings Bank, Huntington Bank, PNC Bank, Old Mission Bank, M Bank, Charles Schwab, Fidelity Investments, the Bank of New York Mellon, U.S. Bank and Michigan Class, along with its custodian bank, Wells Fargo Bank, be authorized depositories for the city operating funds for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2017, and ending June 30th, 2018. And item 7, authorization to hire an additional school crossing guard. Recommended action is to authorize the police department to hire a 3rd school crossing guard who will be assigned to the intersection of Marquette and Minneapolis.
Okay, thank you. I would at this time like to pull item E1, which is under the city manager's report on the scoreboard for the Polar. Just a brief overview from the city manager as our first item after the consent agenda. Is there anyone that has a question on the consent agenda? Commissioner Twardy?
Thank you. I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Moved and supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Bospas?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. As our first item, E1 under the city manager report, the award of the bid to Roy Electric Company for the Puller Community Building Scoreboard Project. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor. On this topic, I will request that Parks and Recreation Director Dan Wires come forward to address the commission and community.
Great, thanks. In just doing that, I thought that would, the $55,800 certainly raised by the fundraising committee, of which Commissioner Lynn and myself were involved in, with certainly Chairman Bob Klee and a few others. So if you'd just like to give us a little overview so the community service, so the community knows what actually is going on there.
Absolutely. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. The big strong point with this is that this has been one of the Puller fundraising goals for quite some time, to refresh the community. This fundraising has been going on since 2013, and it is winding its way down. And this board that we are looking to approve this evening is 100% no taxpayer dollars. It's all fundraising dollars. And the couple things that we will be doing is the 2 scoreboards that have been up there since the 90s, those will be taken down, and we're going to be looking to list those on Gov Deals, so some money would be coming back to the city as well. There's still some, not a whole lot, because there's a lot of blinking and bulbs that need to be fixed on it, but there is still some useful life that another community may be looking for the old scoreboards. And something I really would like to also mention is, we had 4 major sponsors for the scoreboard that gave dollars, and I'd like to mention Precision Edge, Central Savings Bank, C2AE, and the Flamel family. Each one of these donors gave $10,000. So $40,000 just from those 4 folks have gone to this project, and it's been a project I would say has been talked about for the last year and a half. Central 4-sided scoreboard right in the center of the Puller, wireless. You've got the LEDs on it, so it should have a lot of life on it. So it's not the old-fashioned type of scoreboard, and we're very excited about it.
Any questions of Commissioner Twardy?
Yeah, thank you. I thought at one point we were discussing moving those scoreboards to Canes Rink.
Well, that was a talk, but a few years ago, we bought a brand new one for Canes Rink.
Okay.
I think that maybe even the Seal Estate did buy that, a nice one with wireless controller, digital, and it works just fine as well.
And it doesn't blink.
It doesn't blink when it's not supposed to.
All right, thank you.
But
Anyone
yes.
else? Just a comment too, that the Augusta Hursley Seal signs on the scoreboard there will be new signs on the scoreboard scoreboard that will be in the center with her name also as part of that.
City logo will be on it.
Yes, okay.
And Augusta Hursley Seal will be also on this, prominently displayed as well.
Great. Any questions, Dan? Thank you very much, City Manager. Thank you. Oh, Commissioner Lynn.
You gotta be my age, okay? But at one time, there was a scoreboard at the center of Puller Stadium. It was a great big clock with big hands that went around. I know it's been gone for decades. But all we're doing is putting a better one back. It should be really nice.
Would you like to make the motion?
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved, support. Are there any additional questions? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Mayor Bostos?
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item 3, special orders of business. A, acceptance of the resignation of Commissioner Gage.
Okay, thank you. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. As commissioners and the community are aware, Commissioner Jay Gage submitted his resignation during the June 5th regular meeting of the City Commission. Section 5.7 of the City of Sault Ste. Marie Charter pertaining to filling of vacancies in the offices of Mayor and Commissioner states the following in pertinent part. Under subsection A, except as provided in the other paragraphs of this section, vacancies in the offices of Mayor and Commissioner shall within 30 days be filled for the unexpired term of the officer whose office has become vacant, by appointment by a majority vote of the members of the commission then in office of a person possessing the qualifications for the office. Additionally, under subsection B, in pertinent part, if any vacancy in the office of mayor or commissioner is not so filled within the said 30 days after such vacancy occurs, such vacancy shall be filled for the respective unexpired terms at a special election. Such special election shall be called by by the city clerk within 10 days after the expiration of said 30-day period, and a special election will be held not less than 40 days nor more than 60 days after the date on which it's called. As commissioners are aware, City Attorney Canello has previously advised that the 30-day period of time within which an appointment could be made would begin at the time at which the resignation from Commissioner Gage is accepted by the City Commission. Accordingly, if the acceptance of this resignation occurs tonight, this window of time would extend to July 19th. Finally, it should be noted that Commissioner Gage served on the Dial-A-Ride Advisory Council, the Recycling Committee, the Tree Commission, and the ad hoc committee that was formed to review existing city ordinances for elimination and/or modernization. Accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission accept the presented letter of resignation from Jay Gage. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioner.
Okay, thank you, City Manager. Well, we are at I hate to say a familiar place, but it was only a few weeks ago that we went through this and interviewed 12 individuals or 13? 12?
12.
12, right? And of course, Commissioner Abby Baker was selected and now sits here and joins us. I guess what is it's a prerogative of the commission on what we would like to do. I personally would, and I'll speak first, I'd like to see us fill it with an individual that we have already interviewed as part of the candidate pool. That is my feeling. Anyone else? Commissioner Gary.
I'd concur with that. We had 13, I think, applications, or maybe it was 12 and 11, but we had some very good candidates, and we interviewed them all. So I think that we've got a good talent pool to pull from of interested parties.
So, Commissioner Bauer.
I would, if we do take from that pool, I would, as I did the last time we did this, strongly advise that we do not deplete the pool of candidates in the November election by selecting a person who is on the ballot for the November election, and that we go with someone who has interviewed but is not part of that candidate list. In doing so, we deprive the people of more choices, and we take that decision out of the hands of the voters, which is really where it belongs.
Commissioner Twardy.
I tend to agree with Ray. I think that we have 6 really good candidates, including myself, and we are going to have 3 new, hopefully only 2 new people, and then I will hopefully get reelected. We will see. But I think leaving it up to the voice of the community is probably, that's my recommendation or my suggestion.
Anyone else?
Have you
Commissioner
voted
Lynch?
yet on?
No.
Oh,
No. No. You have any comments or?
no.
Just Commissioner Gary?
I just have, and I've changed my mind a couple of times on that issue because I do understand the merit of that, but on the other hand, being a commissioner is a huge commitment, and it's a huge financial commitment for the community. And I think, as we know and we see in other political areas, you don't even get your feet wet and understand the systems and how it all works for years until you get into it. And I think that it's by putting somebody in that can't run or won't run or can't serve again, we're spending a lot of resources on that person to train them, to get them up to speed, to send them to Michigan Municipal League educational sessions. And I think by the time the 2 years is up, they probably will just be getting their feet under them. So I guess there are 2 different ways to look at that. So.
And just a comment that I would have is that we've already set that precedent many times in the years that we've had. We've done a lot of different things, but I think in the most time we've partly appointed. And we appointed Commissioner Baker, who was part of that pool. And I feel that we have good qualified people, and if that individual can get 4 votes, then they've got 2 years to become real knowledgeable. And I think they've, much like Commissioner Baker, who I'm thinking of at least, and we'll get to that point, I guess, is someone who has been involved in the community. He's a downtown business owner. He's a financial person that is very familiar with budgets, and he pays downtown taxes. He is also a resident in the downtown. So that's a person that I thought did very well in the interview process, and I think he deserves the opportunity. Commissioner Torney.
Well, thank you. Oh, almost Baker, he said. And that's why so I would like to nominate somebody, and then I would like to discuss why.
Sure.
I think this individual came to the interview process, and
You're not going to do that just yet.
Okay.
Okay.
So the person that I'm
Process.
thinking about came to the interview process, and he did not put his papers in to run in the fall election. I think because he felt like he would like to learn a little bit more before he decides to run. However, I think that this individual has the passion for this community. I met him about 10 years ago as a very young man, and he doesn't live here with anybody in his family. His mother moved downstate. He's self-sufficient. He tried to start volunteering his time at the age of 16, and he was told by Steve Canello that he had to wait until he was 18 years old. And so in my mind, this is somebody who, he's green. He needs to be, he needs to learn a lot, but I think that he already has shown that he has the passion for the community and passion for community service. And I think that he would make a great commissioner, and spending 2 years of time on him, training him, would, in my mind, is a huge benefit.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments? We're ready to, I guess at this point, yes.
We don't have a motion or support to accept the resignation of Commissioner Gage.
So
yet?
moved,
Support.
and gladly.
Is there a motion of support? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. With that, I guess at this point, we will see if we can have a nomination that will get the 4 votes. Would you like to go through that process, Assistant or Deputy City Manager?
Mayor Bospis, do you have a nomination?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Greg Collins. Again, I think we've talked about a downtown business owner, a resident in the downtown, a financial management type person, and he's also been a DDA member for the past 3 years. I think that his concept of city government and what needs to be done as a community leader and also as a community volunteer, I think he's demonstrated that over the past 3 years, and certainly stepping forth and buying property in the downtown, which I know some of you are on this commission are downtown business owners. In fact, if I look around the commission table, the majority of you are downtown business owners, and you know what that commitment is. And I think when you have a fellow person paying, what you pay, and we know that the downtown supports that area, and that TIFAs are also involved in being willing to spend your time and your talents and your monies in that area, speaks to well for you, and also would be for the individual, Greg Collins. So with that, I would nominate him.
Commissioner Baker, your nomination?
I would like to nominate Josh Billington to the board. I was fortunate enough to sit through the majority of the interviews. I think I only missed 2. And I thought Josh did better than I did, to be honest with you. I understand there's some issues with him not being able to get elected. However, over the years and with all my volunteer work that I've done throughout the community, Josh has always been there. He's helped the downtown community immensely, along with helping new business owners coming in and getting them established and helping guide them. And with his expertise and his knowledge in his field, I think he would be very beneficial to have on the commission.
Commissioner Bauer, your nomination?
I'm not nominating anyone.
Commissioner Gary, your nomination?
My choice has already been nominated, so I'll pass.
Commissioner Lynn, your nomination.
I have less than 5 months left, and I will not nominate anybody.
Commissioner Twardy, your nomination.
Thank you. I would like to nominate Kane Vandermolen, and he's a young individual who I think that we would be really, it would be beneficial for us to spend our time and our efforts training him. He has proven that this is where he wants to make his home, and he has dedicated his life to Sault Ste. Marie. He does own a home downtown. He also is the nighttime manager at Sault Super Value. So not necessarily having a business owner, but having a large entity manager on the commission could speak for a different size of business. And I think that Kane is a wonderful young man, and he is my nomination.
So we have 3 nominations. The first nomination on the floor is Greg Collins. All those in favor of Greg Collins? 3. The second nomination is Josh Billington. All those in favor of Josh? And the third nomination on the floor is Kane Vandermolen. Just 1.
Okay. At this point, we can go back around and see if any commissioner, I believe, would like to change their mind.
Well,
City Attorney.
Call for nominations again. You may nominate anyone, including someone who was nominated before.
Okay. Any discussion before that, or just
If you wish.
if you wish? Just a comment. The 3 people that were certainly nominated, all excellent people. I just want to make that statement because no matter how we vote up here, ultimately it's the one individual that can get the 4 votes to be able to be seated, or maybe 5 or 6 of us, I guess. But ultimately they have to at least get 4. But we have an excellent pool, and I just think that people prefer other people sometimes, but ultimately these are all very, very good people. Thank you. Commissioner Gary?
Would I be out of line to ask if we don't get the 4 votes, what the process is? I know it would have to go to a special election, but is that the August election, or does that roll till November, so the people that have already filed are eligible, or how does that work?
It would roll to the November election, as I already have the August ballots.
You have
So-
30 days.
You want to turn your mic on, City Attorney? Why don't we do that before we come back around, maybe just talk about the process?
You have 30 days to fill the vacancy, so tonight is not your only bite
Right.
at the apple.
Right.
So it's too early to think about the process failing.
I'm just asking what the process is in case it does not come to a resolution with 4 votes. So I was just curious if it was an August special election then, or if it goes to November, so I think that question was answered.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I didn't want you to think that tonight was your only.
No, I know we have 30 days till July.
In that same vein, though, according to the August election coming up, we can't meet that one. So then there's some problematic areas going forward for that, and if maybe the deputy city manager would talk about that.
So the complications is November is the city's regular general election. So those candidates that applied or filed to run in the city general, there's overlap with the appointment because they applied for the appointment and filed to run. So you potentially could have a candidate running in both races. One, I don't know if that would be permitted. I'd have to talk to the Bureau of Elections to see if they would permit the name being on the ballot twice. And then depending on the outcome of that election, you could have the same person gandering the votes.
Commissioner Bauer.
A couple of different things. Number one is that I believe this situation occurred similarly in 1999, and at that time it was not permissible for, and who knows, they change laws all the time, right? But it was not permissible to run in both the general election and to fill the unexpired term of, at that time, Scott Shackleton. That said, and would like to say one thing about Greg Collins, because I think that Greg Collins, sooner than later, is going to be sitting, on the city commission, and I think Greg Collins will be a good commissioner. But I just, again, believe that the voters should have more choices, not fewer choices. And when I look and see how that could potentially impact the November election, I would move at this point that all things considered, including the length of this agenda tonight, that we table this matter until the next meeting.
As a tabling motion?
Tabling motion has preference. Is there support? Support. No discussion is allowed on the tabling motion.
Okay. So now we vote on the tabling motion.
Commissioner Bauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn,
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy,
Yes.
Mayor Bospis,
No?
Commissioner Baker.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Those were some
So it's
really
tabled.
strong yeses.
So, another date, right? And there was no date on that, so it could be a special
was a
meeting?
date.
Was there a date?
The motion was to table it to the next commission meeting.
Yes.
Was it? Okay.
So for July 3rd then?
Yes.
July 3rd.
Okay. I didn't hear the date. Okay, moving on.
The next item under special orders of business, item B, public hearing on confirmation of special assessment roll for sidewalk replacement at various locations, SW-01-17.
Okay, thank you. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. At the meeting held on June 5th, the City Commission conducted the public hearing of necessity, the sidewalk replacement project, and adopted the resolution ordering public improvements for the same. 223 Ashman Street, which was a topic of significant discussion at the meeting, was tabled upon the request of the property owner. Furthermore, the City Commission scheduled the public hearing on the confirmation of the special assessment roll for the sidewalk project to be held during this meeting. The bidding process is complete, and the actual price per square foot from a construction contract that is recommended for execution, contingent upon the special assessment roll being confirmed, has been used to figure the special assessments on the project. As a reminder, this project would include work on Ashman, Magazine, Fort Street, Rocap, Summit, Valley, West Portage, and Young Street. Accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission first conduct a public hearing on the special assessment roll for the proposed sidewalk project SW-01-17, and secondarily adopt the resolution confirming special assessment roll SW-01-17. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just a question, the tabling motion that took 223 Ashman Street, that has been taken out of the assessment?
That is correct, Mayor.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. At this time, we'll conduct a public hearing on the special assessment rule for the proposed sidewalk project SW-01-17. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to make a comment at this time? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the public comment. City Commission. Commissioner Lynn.
So moved, the city manager's recommendations.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Commissioner Twardy.
Thank you. I would actually like to ask if you could give us an update on maybe that small section on Maple Street next to Zim's between Ashman Street and Bingham, or actually the alleyway. In my mind, that is a really, really bad section of sidewalk, and I don't see it on the plans for this summer.
City Manager.
Thank you for that question, Commissioner. On this, I may defer to City Engineer Linda Basista if she has additional information on this possible work within the scope of the project at hand.
Evening, Linda.
Good evening. First of many times you'll see me up here tonight. You're asking about the sidewalk on Maple.
Yes.
All right, so that's not included because we typically try not to do sidewalks that the street needs to be reconstructed as well. So that street is in pretty bad shape. We did look at all of that sidewalk on Maple and just couldn't find an acceptable resolution to include it in this project.
Commissioner Tuarty?
Thank you. So then when is the section of Maple slated to be fixed?
Not anytime soon.
Oh, jeez. Okay. All right, thank you.
That was not part of the CSO work.
It was not. It's,
Okay.
CSO stopped at Court Street.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else? We have a motion and support. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuarty?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you.
Item 4, communications. A is from Sue Events, update on the Great Race.
Okay, so City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Very pleased to have with us here tonight Mary Jo Duvall with Sioux Events to provide the commission and community with an update on the Great Race.
Good evening, everyone.
Evening, Mary Jo.
The Great Race, as many of you might remember, that it was here 5 years ago, and it will be returning this year on July 1st. The Great Race, if you're not familiar with it, is an antique, vintage, and collective car competitive endurance road rally. So it's just not a matter of them starting and who's going to get to the end. It's a matter of them being able to go through over 200 instructions on the day, as far as directions and speed and different things like that, and therefore then who can get to the finish line at the end. It actually starts this Saturday in Jacksonville, Florida, and the Sioux will be its second to last stop. Its finish is in Traverse City this year. On July 1st, Saturday, we will start off at 5 o'clock with the opening ceremony. We will
5
have
o'clock PM, right?
5 o'clock PM, correct. We'll be on Ashman Street. The street will be closed just north of the bridge down to Spruce Street, if I'm not mistaken. All the cars will start coming in about 5:15 after the opening ceremony in 1-minute intervals, and we have a group of people that'll be volunteering to get them lined up on Ashman Street. We invite the community to come down and take a look at the cars, talk to the drivers, talk to the navigators, to see how everything is going and answer any questions, check out the cars and stuff like that. I'd also like to thank Wicked Sister. Having the Great Race here, we have the responsibility of feeding approximately 400 people, which are their drivers, which would be about 120 cars will start off on this race, the navigators, and then the teams that come along with it. So I'd like to thank Wicked Sister for sponsoring the dinner that evening, as well as the DDA and Sioux Events. Are there any questions?
No, they were here in 2010, maybe?
2012, 5 years
okay.
ago.
Okay,
And
I
all
remember
these cars are 1972 or older.
they were here on City Hall
They were here on
grounds and on
city
the grass of
grounds,
the
correct.
core. And
Yes.
people were allowed to walk around, look at them, talk to the drivers, the navigators.
Yeah. And you'll be able to do that again this year.
How far down on Ashburn will they go from the bridge going north, you know?
Down to, we're thinking we can fit them all into Spruce Street. If we have any overflow,
Okay.
we'll go down the block in front of the old House of Bargains.
Okay. Commissioner Tuarty.
Thank you. Just more of a comment. I was on the planning committee for this great race 5 years ago. It's so much fun. The announcer comes in time period clothing, and he's such a
They're
character.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They set everything up. I mean, we thought we needed to do a lot, but they come in and they set up their archway. And then as each car is rolling across, they completely announce who they are, what year the car is, what size engines it's got. You remember it, don't you? Yeah, right. It was such a great time, and the drivers are very generous about letting you actually get in their vehicles and get pictures taken. And
Yeah, we look forward to having them back
yeah,
again.
it should be
Is-
great.
Is Corky Coker coming this time also?
That I'm not aware of.
Okay, because he's the main guy.
He's the guy.
Corker Tires, I think, Coker Tires. Commissioner Bauer.
Just one comment, and that is, they're starting in Florida, ending in Traverse City, but coming through the Sioux.
Yes.
My kudos to whoever put that MapQuest trip together.
A lot of work
That
for
is
that.
not the most direct route.
They enjoyed our
They
city
enjoyed
last
the
time they
Sioux?
were here, so
Yeah.
they were very excited to be able to come back.
Great,
That's great.
that's great.
All right, thank
That was a
you.
great time.
Thanks, Mary Jo.
Thank you.
Next item under communications, item B is from the Michigan State Police Angel Program.
Thank you. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Pleased to have with us here tonight Michigan State Police Trooper Nathan Grenfell, who we welcome to the podium. Thank you.
Evening, Nathan. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. So I came at the request of the Chief Riley. Michigan State Police has implemented an Angel program in Sault Ste. Marie, and we've been fortunate enough to get the Sheriff's Department and the Sault Ste. Marie Police Department to participate. Basically, to walk you guys through how the Angel program works so you're informed is there's kind of a three-pronged approach to opiate addiction, and that's what this is really about, is the opiate epidemic this country is facing. In Michigan, but the legislature, the governor, has came up with some solutions, and one is we can't arrest ourselves out of this problem. So the Angel program is the treatment prong of the three-pronged approach. The three-pronged approach is enforcement, education, and treatment. So the Angel program is the treatment portion. So in a nutshell, what can happen is if somebody presents themselves to a police department, and in our area, it's the Sault Ste. Marie Police Department, the Sheriff's Department, or the State Police Post, and asks for help, basically all it is we will give them help or give them resources to get them help without the fear of arrest. So people can come to the State Police Post, present themselves, say I'm an addict, I'm struggling with opiate addiction, and I'm looking for some help, and we will provide them avenues to get the help that they're looking for. The state police applied for a grant, a federal grant, and got the grant. So the program is under the umbrella of something called PARI, which stands for Police Aided Assistance Recovery Initiative. And by us participating in that, there's several different funding sources for these people to get themselves the help. And it's kind of a flow chart, and I'm not sure of all the way it all works, but basically if somebody has their own private health care insurance, that would pay for it first, and then it goes through all the different avenues of funding. Ultimately, if there is no funding, by participating in PARI, there is a grant to get them the funding to get them the help. Also, by participating in PARI, they kind of get priority. Because let's face it, if somebody comes to a state police post or any police department and says, look, I'm an addict and I need help, it took them a lot to get them there. So by being under that umbrella, it gives them, I guess, some preferential treatment. In our area, we have a group called FAN who was going to implement a program similar to this. It was a different name, but we were starting our Angel program. Rather than have 3 different programs in one area, basically the way it's working here is we're going to be the clearinghouse, that being the state police, for some of the paperwork end of it, but every agency is going to have the resources available to make those phone calls to reach out to these folks that are able to get these people into recovery. The Angel aspect of it is we have some volunteers in the community that will provide transportation, is really basically all it is, and that's why it's called the Angel program, because these people are kind of considered their angels. But their element is to provide unbiased transportation for the people.
Questions? Commissioner Baker.
I just want to commend you guys for your work. I think this is a major issue in our area, in our community, and it seems to be getting worse. And with the lack of treatment facilities that we have in our area, especially I've had friends and family members that have dealt with this too. So it's, I just commend you guys and thank you for all the work. It's impressive. And has it been in place yet?
Yes, in our area, we haven't had any participants. Let's see, I think it's April 1st was when either April 1st or April 20th, it kicked off, and we haven't had anybody, I guess we'll just say, present themselves yet. There have been other areas in the state that there have been. And you hit on a good point as far as the treatment facilities available. Downstate, they're all over.
And they're
Up
booked.
here, we are running into some problems with transportation issues, because it's just not like we can go 20 miles and have, 5 different treatment centers at our disposal. We're having to transport these people long distances. And when I say that, in Escanaba there was one. In our area, there's some unique factors involved, because when you have people from another country, say Canada, they can participate too, but that just creates a lot of different funding issues. And when that happens, we'll sort it out. There is, if you guys are ever interested, you can stop up at the post or at the PD, and there is some parameters, and we're not gonna get into it tonight because I know this meeting is gonna be a long one, but there are things for people's, admittance into the program. There are some disqualifiers, we'll say.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, it's okay, never mind.
We are looking for more volunteers, just so you know. We only have 3 right now, angels, if you will. They're all females. We are looking for some male volunteers because that, we don't want to have a female transporting a male that could really open up.
I'm sorry, I remember my question now. How are you marketing this to let the community know that?
Social media, it's on our, the Facebook.
Uh-huh.
It was also in the newspaper. And periodically, there will be updates in the paper about it. I actually work out of the St. Ignace Post now. I'm not in Sault Ste. Marie anymore, but I was one of the ones that got the program going here. And we don't have really a spokesperson right now for it, so I was asked to come up and talk about it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, we certainly appreciate the efforts of law enforcement in the area, and hopefully that will be a great program going forward. Thank you for your time.
Next item under communications is item C from Sean Otto, discussion on allowing a marijuana dispensary in Sault Ste. Marie.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Otto,
Yes, hi, how are you?
did you want to see?
I think nobody knows me here, but
You have, Mr. Otto, you have, 10 minutes?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, I've been in discussion with the city manager and the city attorney about having a dispensary for medical marijuana in Sault Ste. Marie. The reason being, not for me, just in general, like they should set a plan, have the staff put some kind of law together. I mean, 90% of the state has it right now. It's going to be legal by December. I think that's going to cut from trafficking. I've been in discussion with the city manager for 3-4 years, even with Spencer before him and the city attorney. I think you have too many people trafficking marijuana from them homes, trailer parks. I mean, it's all over town. I think, if the governor, he already signed a bill for it, why don't Sault Ste. Marie allow it? Okay, and do like some type of rules where has to be so many feet from a house or a church, or put it in a place like it shouldn't affect anybody. A lot of people get in that, they have a medical marijuana, they use it for medical use. They have them in Gaylord in West Branch, so they travel there to get it and come back, okay? You guys allowing, I think you guys have a law in place, I remember it was like 5 years ago, 4 years ago, to grow in the house for a patient, in-house growing. I think that shouldn't be allowed. I think it should be taken away. I know Lansing, they just canceled that because it's affecting a lot of kids at home. You live at home with your kids and you grow in marijuana in the same house. That shouldn't be allowed. I think it should be a storefront allowed in Sault Ste. Marie that could be watched by the police. They know what's going on. They know the people are buying it. Or people have a patient card that they need it. They're not using it for fun. I think the growing in home should be taken away and should be allowed it's going to be controlled by the state pretty soon by commercial growing, and the state is going to transfer that stuff and sell it to the dispensary. So I think all that stuff is, it has to be changed with the law, with the license right now. They changing everything around. I know they just signed a bill for commercial growing for medical use. I don't know. They took in 2 years from now. It's just going to be for everybody could buy it like Colorado. So I don't know if you guys thinking about maybe doing something like this, writing some kind of policy, let the staff work on something, allowing somebody to get a license, 2 license, 3 license. I know some cities, they allowing 3 license, some cities they allowing 2 license. they charge a fee. I know in River Rouge, they just opened it up. In Taylor, they charge $5,000 a year for a dispensary, and the money goes toward this, like the community work and other things, instead of having kids running around and selling it all over the street.
Any questions of Mr. Otto? At the city manager, maybe you'd like to just give us a little bit of background information that you've provided?
Thank you, Mayor. Just to briefly highlight the information contained with the agenda, as Mr. Otto did reference, on September 21st, 2016, Governor Snyder did sign the Medical Marijuana Facilities Licensing Act. There is a fact sheet that's been produced by the Michigan Municipal League included within the agenda. Among other provisions, the act allows municipalities to choose whether to allow any marijuana facilities within their jurisdictions. And if a municipality takes no action, no facilities would be allowed. It should be noted that a municipality that would wish to allow such facilities would have to enact an ordinance explicitly authorizing them. According to the background information, a person cannot apply to the state for a license of any type until December 15, 2017, and nobody can apply to the state for a license of any kind under the act unless the municipality has adopted an ordinance authorizing that type of facility. Finally, as referenced during discussion, the language that's included within the City of Sault Ste. Marie's zoning ordinance regulating medical marijuana caregiver operations is as a home-based business, and that was adopted at the January 16th, 2012 regular meeting of the City Commission. Thank you.
Okay, any questions? Commissioner Lynn?
Your Honor, I so move we accept the presentation by Mr. Otto and place it on file.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, item number 5 is the city manager's report. Item number 8.
Thank you, Mayor. Item A under the City Manager's report would provide for the approval of the purchase of a new ambulance for the fire department. On May 26th, 2017, a bid opening was held at the City Clerk's office for a Type 3 ambulance for the fire department. The Type 3 ambulance consists of a van chassis and a box-style patient compartment, essentially the same style body configuration the department utilizes currently. 6 vendors submitted bids with a total of 15 ambulance options for consideration. The bids ranged from custom-built units to basic entry-level ambulances. Reasons for increased costs in ambulances as compared to the last time the city solicited bids are varied and include an enhanced locking system for all ambulance cots, updated Federal Department of Transportation safety standards, and updates in the electrical systems for LED lighting and exhaust emissions, as well as reflective chevron decals and the addition of an animal collision guard. The preferred bid in the amount of $189,580 was received from R&R Fire Truck Repair of Northville, Michigan, which submitted a bid for a custom build to order Type 3 Lifeline ambulance. Lifeline's bid included build specs which exceeded the departmental specifications advertised. The warranties for Lifeline ambulances include a 5-year 60,000-mile warranty for conversion and 10-year 100,000-mile warranty for minor and major electrical problems, not to mention excellent warranties for paint and hardware. According to Fire Chief Labonte, this vehicle would serve the city of Sault Ste. Marie in the safest, most cost-efficient manner while causing the fewest breakdowns in the long run. There are 2 recommendations associated with this action. The first, which would be to transfer $29,580 from the Fire Equipment Replacement Reserve to the Ambulance Capital Equipment line item, and secondarily, accept the bid from R&R Fire Truck Repair of Northville for the purchase of 1 Type 3 custom-built ambulance for the amount of $189,580 based on presented information prepared by Fire Chief Labonte that the presented vehicle would best meet the needs of the community.
Okay, thank you. There are 2 recommendations. There's 2 separate motions according to the city attorney. Commissioner Gary.
Thank you. It's worth noting that we are paying for this and not buying it on an installment purchase contract. So I'd make a motion to transfer the 29,580 from the fire equipment replacement reserve to the ambulance capital equipment line item.
Support.
Support. Oh.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Tuarty?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Commissioner Gary?
I make a motion to accept the bid from R&R Fire Truck Repair, Inc. of Northville, Inc. for the purchase of one Type 3 custom-built ambulance in the amount of $189,580 based on the information prepared by Chief Labonte.
Support.
So moved, supported. Are there any questions? Commissioner Tuarty?
Thank you. More, I guess, a comment. Just, it's worth noting that the lowest bid was $115,000 and the highest bid was $235,000. And just want to thank the fire chief for his due diligence in speccing those two different huge trucks out. And that's a giant difference. And so thank you for coming back with the most suitable needs for our community.
Okay. Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuarty?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item B, under City Manager's report, would provide for the award of a bid for sidewalk replacements. On May 2nd, one sealed bid was received through the city's established purchasing policy for approximately 7,118 square feet of sidewalk replacement on Ashman, Magazine, Fort Street, Grocap, Summit, Valley, West Portage, and Young Streets. The bid opening was submitted by Darling Concrete, which submitted a bid of $58,881, which would be funded 50% by a special assessment upon adjacent property owners, with the city paying the full share of the assessment on property that it owns. Accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission award a contract to Darling Concrete for sidewalk replacement on the detailed areas in the amount of $58,881.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Bauer?
So moved that the commission award a contract to Darling Concrete LLC for sidewalk replacement on areas of Ashman, Magazine, Fort, Grocap, Summit Valley, West Portage, and Young in the amount of $58,881.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Commissioner Gary?
It appears that was the only bidder.
That is correct, Commissioner.
Okay. Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Tuarty?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item C, under City Manager's report, would provide for the award of a bid for audit services for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2017. On May 2, 2017, the City of Sault Ste. Marie requested proposals from qualified firms of certified public accountants to audit its financial statements for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2017, with the option of auditing its financial statements for each of the 4 subsequent fiscal years. A request for proposals was distributed to 15 firms, advertised in the Sioux News, and posted on the city website. The clerk's office received proposals from the following firms: Dennis Gartland and Neergarth of Traverse City, Anderson Tackman and Company of Kincheloe, Raymond Robeson of Traverse City, Gabridge and Company of Grand Rapids, and Abraham and Gaffney of East Lansing. All 5 proposals were reviewed for audit approach and any outstanding or unusual features. Finding no overriding concerns, the 3 highest cost proposals were eliminated. The 2 lowest prices were submitted by Anderson Tackman at $32,000 and Gabridge and Company at $28,065. As the Commission may be aware, Anderson Tackman, out of Kincheloe, had performed the city audit for many years and prepared the audit as recently as June 30, 2013, prior to the switch to Dennis Gartland and Neergarth. Anderson Tackman's team is led by partner Ken Tausma, who attended the pre-proposal conference in person and was routinely present during fieldwork and actively participated in every facet of past audits. Reference checks were also conducted on Gabridge and Company. Deputy Treasurer Pauley spoke with listed reference that had positive feedback, saying the firm was efficient and there were no unwelcome surprises. However, as part of the process, I spoke to a number of city managers, and through this, learned that there was one client who had difficulties with fieldwork and subsequent adjusting entries, and that another issue was discovered when the presenter who was delivering the audit results to the governing body was not the person who completed the fieldwork. This was also a concern noted by Chippewa County. It is for these reasons that the review team recommends the City Commission authorize a contract with Anderson, Tackman and Company for audit services for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2017, with an additional 4 years through 2021 at a cost provided in the proposal. A 5-year term of engagement is contemplated, and prices for each year subject to the annual review and approval of the City Manager and Finance Director have been received. If for any reason there is significant changes to the engagement or prices, that would be submitted to the City Commission for authorization. Following Commission approval, the selected firm would be notified, and it's expected a contract would be executed between both parties by June 30th. I would like to recognize and appreciate the efforts of Finance Director Collins, Deputy Treasurer Pauly, and Deputy City Manager Troyer for reviewing the proposals and diving into the details. Accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission award the bid for auditing services for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2017 to Anderson, Tackman and Company, PLC, for audit services for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2017 at a cost of $32,000 and with an additional 4 years through 2021 at the cost provided in the proposal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Bauer.
So
Well, you
moved.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
My phone, no. Sure, go ahead. I just noticed that you had the last one, but that's okay. Have it again.
No, you can spread the love, I
Yeah.
don't care.
Go ahead, I call it.
All right. So moved that the commission award the bid for auditing services for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2017 to Anderson, Tackman and Company, PLC for audit services for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2017 at the cost of $32,000 with an additional 4 years through 2021 at a cost provided in the proposal.
Support.
Move and support. Any questions or comments? Just I guess comment I would have is it's nice to see the local, I call local auditing firm of Anderson Tackman. Certainly Ken Talsma has been in that business for a long time, and it's also worth noting that he does show up at the audit and does provide his expertise to the auditing firm, and that means a lot, I think, to this city as well as to others that they might do. And it was a very good review by I believe the city manager that talked to the fellow managers to come, to find out how they, in fact, view some of these auditing firms. So a good job done by all. Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item D under City Manager's report would provide for the approval of change order number 6 to Baco's construction contract and repurpose remaining capital improvement bond funding from the CSO C3 project. On this matter, City Engineer Bassista will present to the Commission and community.
Evening again, Linda.
Good evening. First, I'd like to point out that you have a revised report in front of you and a revised recommended action as part of the revised report. Happy to say that the CSO C3 construction project is complete, and C2AE, our consulting engineer, and Baco, the contractor, have worked diligently to prepare the final balancing change order to the contract, which resulted in a deductive change order in the amount of $552,174.11. So Baco's final contract was just a little over $11,670,000. Also, as part of the wrapping up the project, I asked C2AE to give me their final estimate on their completion of their contract, because they still have work to do, preparing as-builts, preparing records to turn over to us, and they're estimating that their contract will come in $300,000 under budget, under their contract as well. And also, not in your report, but I just finalized also the next largest contract that was part of the CSO was testing services by Al Tester, and his contract was $120,000, and his ended up at $109,000. So it went across the board, everybody, under budget. It was a good project, a lot of efficiencies, no big changes. We had a decent contingency, set aside, so, which helped result in being under budget, under total budget of approximately $1.1 million for the project. Also, as part of the project coming in under budget, as you may be aware, the project was funded by three sources, the SRF and DWRF. Those are loans, state revolving loans for sanitary sewer and drinking water sewer, or drinking water loan. And the third source of funding was the capital improvement bond that was sold in April of 2015. As a result of the project coming in under budget, the SRF and DWRF draws are just that. We've drawn on the loan, and they will close at the amount that we actually borrowed. The capital improvement bond, however, is our bond that we sold. We have the proceeds from that bond in our account. And so therefore, with the project coming in under budget, there's approximately $150,000 remaining proceeds from that bond. The SRF and DWRF accounted for about 74% or 83% of about 83% of the total project, and the capital improvement bond was 15.27, whatever the difference is. So that's why it seems like a small amount, the capital improvement bond proceeds, but SRF and DWRS carried the majority percentage of the project. So there is remaining funds in the capital improvement bond proceeds. And when that bond was sold, it was sold to not just pay for CSO C3 project, it could be eligible to pay for any capital improvement project, infrastructure project for street, sewer, water. So as a result, I'm recommending that whatever remaining funds, and right now it's estimated at $150,000 in the capital improvement bond, be rolled over into the gaming fund, which you will see in the next item, that we're recommending that the budget for the East Spruce reconstruction project come from gaming, and which $150,000 more or less when it finally closes and rolls over would the capital improvement bond for CSO C3 would cover, be replenishing the gaming fund to fund East Spruce project.
Okay.
Portion of East Spruce.
Any additional information?
Nothing further, just appreciate the work of the city engineer as well as our consultants and staff in administering the project in such a manner that it was $1.1 million under budget.
Okay, great. There are two recommendations, discussion with the city attorney, that is two separate motions. Let's see, Commissioner Tory.
I move that we approve the change order number 6 to the backhoe contract in the amount of $552,174.11 in the negative.
Is there support? There's support. Commissioner Bauer.
I do have a question,
Sure.
and Linda, please forgive me if you explained this and I just did not understand. What aspects of this project changed so significantly that we were able to save $1.1 million, which to me is a lot of money?
Okay. On the source and use form attached, it's highlighted in purple, but the main point was, as you may recall, when we awarded the contract to Baco Construction, and I'm sorry that number doesn't appear here, but it was, Baco's original bid was around $12 million. The engineer's estimate at that time was right around over 11 million for the total project. We wanted to keep it within budget, so we eliminated all of Lion Street. We eliminated the portion on Court Street, just north of Spruce, and we also eliminated the 400 block of spruce. Later, and then, of course, on this large of a project, there was a generous contingency. So then as we were proceeding through the project, as you know, we came back with a change order. So that elimination of those streets that I just mentioned were a deduct of 1.2 million. And
So there you go. Case closed.
well, that was a deduct from the contract at that time. But then we added back in Lion, only a part of Lion. We added back in 400 block of spruce or cedar, whichever one we deleted in a couple of years, so I don't remember. And then we added back in West Spruce, which was just a water main project. So I would say, a number of efficiencies, a generous contingency is part of the project. And there might have been an overestimation too in the SRF amount from the original engineer's estimate, because we were able to get the DWRF loan, which we were not anticipating, which changed the percentages as well from the original estimate. So a number of things on top of, it was just a good, efficient project as well, with no unknown. We didn't hit any contamination. We didn't hit any exceptionally bad soils. You might recall in CSO C1 and 2, we hit contamination on Bingham. So we just didn't run into any bad things. That there were items in the contract to cover those contingencies.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And certainly that's a huge savings to the city, because that's something we don't have to pay back either.
Correct.
Yeah. Commissioner Twardy.
Yeah, thank you. I kind of have a question more for Oliver. So this is the final phase of the CSO work, and the city's been working on this for a long time. And maybe more of an update for the community. I know we talk about these bond payments. Isn't CSO1, the bond payment for CSO1, just about to drop off fairly soon here?
This is 22nd year. I think this is the, what year is this? This is the 22nd year, or the 21st
The
year?
first bonds were probably sold around 1997 timeframe, so we're right about in 20 years.
I thought it was like 1995 before.
Okay. And so how long are those bonds for?
I think they're 20 year.
So it
Each
should be
section.
dropping off here pretty soon
Look
then?
back at
should be-
finance
One
director
section should be
Collins.
dropping off. Okay, all right. Just more of an update for the community, because I know that we've been seeing the CSO work for a long time now. Almost, well, I was out of high school, darn it. But for a long time. And so it's nice to be able to know that eventually these bond payments are going to be done being paid on.
And which will reduce hopefully the water rates
Yep.
going forward
Yep.
over a long period of time, but 20 years seems like go by pretty fast, so. And now we have a second motion on the
Yep.
next, or a second
Thank
reading,
you.
yeah.
I move that we approve the repurposing of the final calculated balance from the capital improvement bond proceeds estimated currently to be approximately $150,000 to replenish the gaming fund used to help fund East Spruce Street reconstruction project.
Before we vote on that, before you have a second, we have to vote on the first motion.
Oh.
Commissioner Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn,
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy,
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas.
Yes.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer.
Yes.
Motion carried. And now a second to the motion.
Support.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lynn, Commissioner Lynn.
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy,
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas.
Yes.
Commissioner Baker,
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Gary.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Item E, under City Manager's Report, would provide for the approval of an East Spruce Reconstruction Project Budget Amendment and the approval of Michigan Department of Transportation Contract 17-5267. Again, City Engineer of Assistant.
Okay.
Thank you. After a long many years, this project was first budgeted in fiscal year 11-12. It was like first budget I did when I arrived here. That being the reason that it was budgeted at that time was I was notified from MDOT that there was money left over from an original East Spruce project that had its boundaries from Ashman to Mission, and so some of the work was done, East Spruce from Ord to Shunk under that original bond. But it's a really unusual case that they come back to you and say, if you have money left over, you're going to get to spend it, right? So, but, so when they called me in 2011 and said, we have a couple $100,000, do you want to use it? I said, absolutely, we'll figure out how to use it. Not knowing really what the condition of spruce was, we just said, we'll do a mill and resurface and do that. So the budget was set then, and as time went on, it was determined that some of that area was going to be added into CSO C3, East Spruce that we just finished, up to the bridge, and then further looking at East Spruce between the Power Canal and Easter Day. After seeing the up and down from the frost heave, the differential heaving, and the condition of the curbs and so forth, it just did not present itself as a good candidate for a mill and resurface project. And then I learned that, while we did do some work there early on in the CSO project to separate sanitary from storm sewer, those were just individual projects going across the road, trench, we call trench width projects, crossings, the East Spruce. No water main was replaced at that time, and the water main does need to be replaced. So if we're going to do something on East Spruce, we really need to do it right and reconstruct it and put a good base in for longevity. While we were planning the reconstruction of East Spruce, I got another call from MDOT and said, oh, by the way, in addition to East Spruce or Spruce repurposing, you have money left from West Portage, a West Portage project that was done in the 90s. So I was like, great, we'll take that too. And so that the amount from the West Portage project, I split up between 4th Avenue, West 4th Avenue, and East Spruce project. The reason I selected projects that were already on the slated for reconstruction and slated for MDOT bid letting is because just that. They were slated to be bid through MDOT, which has a lot of requirements, takes extra time, extra effort to bid projects through MDOT. So those were already planned, and it was easy to just take the repurposed funds from West Portage and split it up and put it towards West 4th and East Spruce. So we received the additional federal earmark, repurposed federal earmark. We were notified this spring that we received that. So plans have been submitted to MDOT. East Spruce project is to be bid out through MDOT. The bid opening is July 7th. The final engineer's estimate for construction is $721,000, and the overall budget I've set at $820,000 to include engineering and contingency, and that does include replacement of the water main. So at this time, the original budget was set for $311,000. That included it included at that time, the earmark, federal funds were $217,000, and then our matching was $94,000 out of road contingency. So in order to satisfy a $820,000 budget, we received additional 180-some thousand for the federal earmark. Actually, it's 178,000 from the repurposed federal earmark, and the balance of of the project to come from gaming. I recommend $331,000 from gaming. This is also a revised report in front of you following the CSO item. And I should have mentioned, the reason you have a revised report, Finance Director Collins was going over we were going over the very complicated CSO project, and she found an error in my numbers, so that's why you have revised reports on both of these issues, because they're both combined, or they're intertwined because of proposing to utilize the remaining capital improvement bond funds from the CSO project. So as part of taking additional $331,000 from the gaming fund, I also did a projection, an adjustment to the projection for the gaming, projected gaming balance, and it's worthwhile to note that in addition to the $150,000 that would be going to gaming from the CSO balance, capital improvement bond balance, that we anticipate closing out Ashman Street Streetscape project, which was finished last year, but MDOT is wrapping up the accounting on that. And we anticipate $71,000 to be returned to the gaming fund from that as well. So we estimate that the gaming fund is in good shape with the anticipated projects that have been identified in 17-18 and 18-19, that the gaming fund can handle the additional $331,000.
Okay.
So there's two items on this, two motions for this agenda item as well, and one is the amending the budget, and then item 2 is approving a contract with MDOT, as is typical for MDOTs that are being let out by MDOT. We need to have a contract between the city and MDOT.
Okay, thank you. City Manager, have anything in addition?
Just that I appreciate the work that has been done by engineering and finance, as well as the other departments that participated in these projects, and the communication across departments which help provide this information. And just worth noting that after all is said and done, with any budget amendments that may be approved by the City Commission, the gaming fund would retain a balance of just over $460,000.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Baker, there are two motions, or
Okay.
two recommendations that would be two separate motions.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the city manager's recommendation to amend the total project budget of $820,000, accepting an additional $178,000 federal earmark funds, and using $331,000 from the gaming fund, which will be refunded the balance of the CSO C-3 capital improvement bond, currently estimated to be $150,000.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Commissioner Lynn?
Linda, you're not going to give us a test on all this, are you? Oh. Good.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. And Commissioner Baker, 2.
Another motion to approve the city manager's recommendation to approve the MDOT contract number 17-5267 between the city and MDOT, required for the city's use of federal funds.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes.
Commissioner Baker?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, Linda.
Item F, under the city manager's report, would provide for the approval of the concept for the West Easter Day traffic calming and bicycle lanes. Again, City Engineer Basista. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so as you know, you approved in the fiscal year 17-18 budget a project to make improvements to West Easter Day between Riverview Way and Ryan Avenue to reduce the roadway to one lane in each direction and add bicycle lanes to that section of West Easter Day. Reducing a roadway from 4 lanes to 2 lanes, one lane in each direction, is commonly called a road diet. You're basically putting the traffic, the vehicles on a diet in the road and appropriating some of the roadway, the remaining roadway, to some other purpose. Sometimes it's parking, sometimes it's bicycle lanes, sometimes it's a combination. In this case, the road would stay at its current width, the curb and gutter. Nothing changes with the curb and gutter. The overall roadway stays the same width as it is. We would eliminate one lane of traffic in each direction and dedicate that to bicycle lanes. Additionally, as part of the improvements, as you drive through that corridor, you see sign after sign of pedestrian crossing signs. And so you really don't know where people are crossing or at any given point. So the plan is to reduce the number of crossings and enhance the existing crossings with a flashing sign similar to what's found at J.K. Alba Wadding. Also, LSSU has agreed to contribute towards the project as part of the pedestrian enhancements and adding pedestrian traffic signals at the intersection of Meridian and Easter Day. I would like to show you on the document camera. This way I know it. That's good, I think. Okay, so this is a current picture of Easter Day at Meridian intersection. And so what would happen at the intersection in order to accommodate eliminating one lane in each direction and not cause problems at the intersection is that these center medians at the intersection would be removed and turned into center left turn lanes. And the medians throughout the rest of the corridor could remain in place because they, instead of a left turn lane, which is there's not a big demand for, they would just stay in place. So the only area that I thought would be of concern by eliminating and only having one lane in each direction would be making sure we added a center left turn lane at that intersection. So the bike lanes would be on the outside lanes. So if you're eastbound, you would come up to the intersection and see that you would have a through and a right turn, sharing a lane, and then a buffer between the through lane or the remaining travel lane and the bicycle lane. So we're taking two 11-foot lanes and essentially using them for two bicycle lanes and buffers. And the buffer gets narrower at the intersection in order to provide a wide enough center left turn lane because the center left turn lane needs to be wider than the existing medians, which are only 9 feet wide. The bike lanes would they would start at Riverview Way, but there is a single on the south side of the Easter Day Bridge that was widened to accommodate a bike lane or bicycles and pedestrians crossing the bridge. So the bike lanes will tie somewhat into that. Bicycles will have to cross Easter Day at Riverview Way in order to access the widened sidewalk across the bridge, or they can continue to travel in the through travel lane. At Ryan, Ryan is per the non-motorized transportation plan, Ryan is a bike route, so the bike lanes will end just at Ryan and taper back into the hillside, and we'll still have 2 lanes in each direction coming up the hill and going down the hill. So the bike lanes will completely end just beyond the Ryan intersection. And again, as I said, if you look down the corridor, you see several crossings, pedestrian crossing signs. We'll be consolidating some of those, enhancing the crosswalks, and it just includes pavement markings and those illuminated rapid flash cross signals, crossing signs, and then removal of the median at the intersection and repaving them there.
A question on coming up the hill 4, 2 lanes going down, 2 lanes coming up. So at Ryan Light and Easter Day, they must turn right then if you're in the right-hand lane, because you're coming right.
If you're coming up the hill,
Up the hill.
that won't change.
Right.
So there's
right
a
now you can be in both lanes and go straight.
correct.
You're going to have to be a right-hand turn only, otherwise you're going to.
Well, at Ryan, I'm
going west.
sorry, I do not have the diagram with me, but we're still working out the final details for the intersection at Ryan as to whether or not we put a left turn pocket in.
Oh.
And, but going down the hill, it will definitely be 2 lanes in
Right.
each direction. When we were working with C2AE last year, working on the pavement marking plan, there were several alternatives developed for the hill, the Ashman Hill, or the Easter Day Hill, and finally settled on the fact that we should not eliminate any of the lanes coming up the hill. So there might be some changes at Ryan. We don't have that completely figured out yet.
Okay. Commissioner Gary.
This is something I think you and I had asked Spencer Nabel about, former city manager, about 10 years ago. And it does take a lot of work and a lot of time to do something, and I think this is good. It coincides with our goal of being bike-friendly and walker-friendly, but it also, I've lived in that area for 50 years. That is a speedway, and with all of the crosswalks for the LSSU students, it's really a dangerous environment. So I think this is great to slow down the traffic and make it safer and a little bit more friendly for Lake Superior students. So I think it's a good-looking plan.
Commissioner Twardy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I think that it's going to force traffic to slow down through that area, and we want to look more like a university-friendly community. And I also see that there are many members of our bike-friendly Sioux group in the audience, and I'm trying to get with you guys, and I'm really excited they're going to be coming to the Community Services Board meeting, and I hope that this is a great first step. When Linda brought this to us a year ago with our wishes, the road diet was a new term to me, but to me it looks like a perfect road diet, and it's a great first step to be a bike-friendly community. So
If you'd like to make the motion, we can
I would
continue
love to make
discuss
the
it then.
motion, yep. So I move that the City Commission approve the proposed concept plan and add bike lanes to Easter Day Avenue between Riverview Way and Ryan Street, reducing the travel lanes to 1 in each direction, adding left turn pockets in the intersection at Meridian, and other ancillary improvements necessary to implement the proposed modification while authorizing the city manager to execute the included memorandum of understanding once finalized.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. Just a comment, certainly on behalf of the City of Sault Ste. Marie and its residents, I'd like to thank Lake Superior State University for stepping up and being part of the project. And going forward, I'm sure it's going to be a huge improvement in that area, because you can't get from the light on Ryan to the light on Meridian without speeding, and a lot of people try and hit that light, and it's just not possible unless you're really speeding, which is not safe in that area anyway. So traffic calming, hopefully it will work. Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner
Thank you,
Baker?
Lynn.
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Twardy?
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas?
Yes, motion carried, thank you.
Item G on the city manager's report is an operational budget review, the final one for fiscal year ending June 30, 2017. Included in front of them, commissioners will find a review completed by Finance Director and Treasurer Kristen Collins that compares the current fiscal year budget as adopted against revenues received and expenses incurred through the end of April 2017 for the city's operating funds. The review highlights major budget revisions that have occurred through official approval of the City Commission and includes a narrative that details the current condition of each fund of the city, as well as additional budget adjustments being recommended. The main highlights on this operational budget review: first, that as the end of the fiscal year approaches, there are conservative approaches taken in retaining budget allocations in order to ensure that the operations of the city across the various funds comply with Public Act 2. And the current projection is at the end of the current fiscal year that there would be a minimum fund balance of 20.1%. This is in line with the more conservative estimates and may dip slightly below that, but I'm personally expecting that the current fiscal year minimum fund balance would be between 20.1 and about 21%, depending upon the revenues that are received and expenditures incurred. It does represent the use of the general fund balance during the current fiscal year for a number of one-time unusual expenses. For example, the decreased revenue that occurred through the closure of the Carbide Dock, that has been incorporated in the next 2 fiscal years of the approved budget. Also reflects a project in the amount of approximately $70,000 for the installation of the mooring cluster associated with the continued mooring of cruise ships in the community. And a couple of other projects. It also includes funding that was necessary for the city's dark stores defense and its major Michigan Tax Tribunal appeal with Walmart, with which the city recently struck a mutual agreement with Walmart. Very beneficial for next couple of fiscal years. Now, current fiscal year projections also show compliance with the minimum fund balance policy, and there are a number of one-time expenditures which are in keeping with the additional funds beyond 20%. A little bit more on that in a minute, but just to note that the fiscal environment has tightened within current fiscal years. Between 2000 and 2012, according to the Michigan Municipal League, while at the same time the state budget has increased 29% as far as expenditures, revenues, local revenues have decreased 56%, which is the largest in the nation. The City of Sault Ste. Marie's revenue sharing has decreased 30% within the last 15 years, and while there is small progress being made in future proposed budgets at the state level, that does represent a historical disinvestment from communities. Expenditures with MERS, as noted during the budget work session, there is a projected 76% increase over the next 5 years in MERS expenditures, the Michigan Employee Retirement System program. City administration is in conversation with MERS about those expenditures and possible alternatives. Now, in specific regard to the general fund, as noted, there were additional costs with the dark store defense approach taken with our municipal partners, Chippewa County, the EUP, ISD, and the Road Commission. There is also the elimination of a human resources position, as those duties have been taken on by our very capable deputy city manager, as well as adjustments in public safety cost categories, reflecting additional overtime, which is owing to staffing shortages within the department, as well as additional fringe benefit costs. As noted within Director Collins' report, the Polar is closing the year under budget, and within the past 2 to 3 fiscal years, overtime within that department has been reduced by Director Wires. And there has been a conservative approach, as mentioned, taken with the parking deck. Beyond the one-time expenditures, there is a recommendation that the general fund provide for an additional $78,900 to make sure that sufficient funding is available for the parking deck due to a reduction downward in revenue projections as well as increased cost for maintenance. The general fund does anticipate increased continued contributions for that fund within the next 2 fiscal years. With a specific regard to the other funds of the city, there are no changes being recommended for Seal and Osborne operating funds. And with the major and local streets, those funds are expected to close the year within budget, although there are some adjustments due to timing of state payments and budget adjustments that are recommended to ensure a cash position that's appropriate. The Stock and Equipment Fund is also projected to close the year within budget, and there are no changes being recommended to the Gaming Fund. between TIF 1, TIF 2, and the DDA funds. Revenues are within budget. However, that's the amended budget, and it does reflect a decrease in the principal shopping district revenues that are projected to come in, as well as adjustments between the different funds for the equalization of cash position and additional balances, which, if remaining at the end of the fiscal year, would help to mitigate a portion, perhaps, of the contribution from general fund to the parking deck fund. Just a few other notes. Capital project fund, there is an adjustment that's recommended to clear out the golf course transaction, which was executed in July of 2016. And there are no changes to the IT, Police Fire Pension Board Fund, and Employee Health Care Fund, as well as a few adjustments to the PEHP fund to reflect fiduciary liability insurance, which has been obtained. And finally, with respect to the sewer and water fund, there is a revenue adjustment that's recommended to decrease projected revenues by $318,000 due to decreased consumption, as expected during the budget workshop. The expenditure levels within that fund are also under budget, and the approved budget responds to this decreasing consumption and projects out future necessary revenues and expenditures. Again, would like to thank Director Collins and all of the department heads for executing their budgets and staying within budgets by and large, with some unusual situations that have occurred. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and Director Collins is here as well. Thank you, Mayor and Commission.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Gary.
I appreciated the comments when the city manager talked about the decline in funding to municipalities. We've all heard about it before, but I think when we were up in Marquette at the Michigan Municipal League UP Education Conference, they had a very good presentation on those, and the numbers, I think, probably came from that. I know you had them before. And every municipality in Michigan has been suffering from that. We're really pleased that the state of Michigan is doing really well. It's recovered well, and we're sitting on a surplus, but some of that is on the backs of the municipalities because they had promised years ago to pay to us through revenue sharing the money that has come from taxes. So we're a little behind on those payments, and we're all well aware of that. And I did look through all of the budget adjustments, and everything's in line with what we've been discussing so far, and we're still within the general fund ratios that we were self-imposed, although we're getting pretty close. And I think we're all aware of what we need to continue to watch, so we've talked about that before. So with that, I would make a motion to approve the proposed budget amendments as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bauer,
Yes.
Commissioner Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Lynn,
Yes.
Commissioner Tuorty,
Yes.
Mayor Bosmas.
Yes.
Commissioner Baker.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
That concludes the city manager's report. Thank you, Mayor and Commission.
Okay, thank you. Item number 6, are matters presented by the public. Is anyone in the audience like to make a comment at this time? Okay, item number 7. Oh, sure. Come on up, please. If you would identify yourself for the record, we would appreciate it.
Hello, my name's Emily Weber. I'm the vice chair of Bike Friendly Sioux.
Okay.
And I just wanted to make a comment about the traffic calming in the bike lanes on Easter Day to Riverview. I just kind of briefly drew a little self-sketch here on the proposed that the city engineer, Linda Basista, had. And I guess I have some concerns as a bicyclist. If you were heading west on Easter Day in these bike lanes, which I think is a wonderful idea, by the way. It's great to be stepping forward with having our community be bike friendly for sure. But I do have some concerns with heading towards the bridge in these bike lanes, and then you have a ramp to go to Canada. And as from what I understood with the city engineer, she's proposing that if a bike is heading west towards Sherman Park, then is the bicyclist expected to cross to get southward to cross the bridge where we have Riverview intersection as well as the Easter Day exit with people coming off of the highway? And then I guess I'm just curious if maybe we can discuss further the plans of how we as, does that make sense?
Sure. If you would like to meet with the city manager after,
Okay.
sure we can discuss that.
Is that
Any other-
more
Absolutely.
an appropriate setting?
Yes,
Okay.
we would certainly be happy to sit down with anybody with an interest and discuss further the design as the project progresses, and certainly appreciate the interest in the project.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you for coming up. Anyone else? Okay, go to item number 7, the City Commission. Commissioner Twardy.
Thank you. One comment I wanted to talk about, and I did not want to pull it off the consent agenda because then that just takes more time. But one of the things that we did approve in the consent agenda, and as all of us know, sometimes government moves at a snail's pace, and we want it to move very, very quickly. And one of the projects that Oliver and I have been working, or the city manager and I have been working on for almost 2 years, is the potential crossing guard at the corner of Marquette and Minneapolis, yes. And so any parent that has driven their children to school in the morning realizes that that is a very dangerous intersection, and children are just trying to get to school safely, and it doesn't always work that way. And so I'm very pleased that we are now going to have a crossing guard at that intersection before school and after school, and it's a great first step. It's not the solution to that entire street, but it is a great first step. And so almost 2 years later, here we have a crossing guard. So
Very good.
Yes, thank you.
Another comment, just that the International Bridge Walk is this Saturday at 9:30. I got a frog in my throat. But, so 9:30 at the International Bridge. There'll be a 9 o'clock welcoming, and then we'll leave from the parking area at the Norris Center.
And don't forget your driver's license.
Driver's license, exactly. Excuse me. Amy?
Yeah, I just want to mention the Sioux Theater Project's got 2 shows coming up in the near future. The first one's June 29th with the Go-Arounds. Shorts Brewing Company will be on tap for that, where it's all proceeds go to this for the Raise the Roof campaign. We're still in need of $100,000 to complete our roof. We'll also be thanking Todd Albert from Albert Heating and Cooling, who has graciously installed some heat sources for us for free to help us extend our season through December, so we'll be able to offer our community some fun things to do in the fall, including movies, shows, and plays. The following show after that is just 1 week later, July 6th, with Melissa Lee, the Bobby Randall Band, and Paul Perry will be opening them, and Sue Group will be on tap for that one. So a lot of fun downtown at the theater. Come check it out if you haven't been there. It's a great cause, and it's a historical marquee in the downtown community that we need. So I'd appreciate any support, and tickets are on sale at the Sioux Theater, Maloney's, or Eventbrite.com.
Okay, great. Commissioner Bauer, do you have something?
I did want to mention that Music in the Park is back. We started this past Wednesday, and in 2 days, someone who has never done Music in the Park before, but it's Gordon Lightfoot Tribute Band, so all you Gordon Lightfoot fans out there, not as good, but the next best thing. So join us for that. It's every Wednesday at from 7 till 8:30 at Locks Park.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Commissioner Lynn?
Your Honor, before I make a motion to adjourn, I was in Escanaba 3 weeks ago, and I was reading the front page of the Escanaba paper, and our rate for water and sewer went up 4.4. Their water rate went up 8.4, and sewer 8.9. So I think overall for the UP, I think we're somewhere in the middle. But there's a lot of communities who got a lot worse than we do. With that, move to adjourn.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.